Hello and welcome to episode 135. Do you notice what I'm wearing? It is actually finished and fully blocked. I'm so excited. If you've been watching my Vlogtober videos, you will have seen this already because I showed it off in Tuesday's Vlogtober video. But I'm so glad I finished this. I finished it on Thursday evening and then blocked it Thursday evening, and it was dry by Saturday morning. It was probably dry by Friday evening actually, but I left it blocking till Saturday morning, and then I wore it on Saturday when we went shopping in Plymouth. It's a bit too warm in the shopping centre, so I ended up taking it off and putting it in my tote bag because I got a bit hot. But I am really pleased with this. So it has the 5 colour pink gradient at the top. That is Mulberry in a 4-ply from Orchidine Luxury Yarns. I will link her below. It's leftover from a design I did for Knitting Magazine 2 years ago, I think, nearly 2 years ago. And then on the bottom, it is yak, merino and silk, I think it is. It's called Warm Cobblestone from Belinda Harris Reid at the Knitting Hotel. As you can see, it fits really well. The only problem was I would have liked it to be slightly longer further down my sleeves, so sort of just past my elbow, but instead it is just finishing at my elbow, which is fine, but I would have liked it to be maybe a couple of centimeters, 2-3 centimeters, an inch longer, but I'm really happy with it. And I'm really pleased that I went for the lace on the natural yak section, because I did consider doing that in stocking stitch. That was my original plan, so I'm glad I stuck to the lace. I will write up the pattern for this. I was hoping I might get time to do it this week before I go to Norway. I'm not sure I'm going to have time, and I look at everything else I've got to try and get done this week. So I'll probably aim to write it up as soon as I get back from Norway and hopefully get it off to my tech editor by the end of November. That's my plan. This is a bit quicker and easier to write up than some of the other garment patterns I've knitted in the last couple of years that I have still not written up the pattern for. This should be a lot easier, I think, to write up, because it's just 2 pieces for the front and back top, and then the body is knitted in the round. So I'm really happy with this. I'm going to take it off because it's quite warm in here, but I'm really happy with it, and I will be wearing it when I go to Norway this weekend. I just hold it up to show you. I like the neckline. I did the gradient 5 colours like I did on the body in the opposite direction, and I did the same thing at the hem, and then I ran out of some of the pinks. I had enough left of some of the pinks, but not all of them. So on the sleeves I just did the natural yak in garter stitch. So I'm very happy with it. Before I show you what else I've been knitting on this week, let's just talk about some stuff happening in November. So this Saturday, 2nd of November, I'm teaching finishing techniques at Stitch Fest in Newton Abbot in Devon. Easy to get to from the M5, it's just south of Exeter. Won't take you long once you pass Exeter on the motorway. Just continue on the A38, and then it's just a few minutes off the A38. So it's really easy to get to if you're coming from up country somewhere. If you're coming from South Devon and Cornwall, it's also easy to get to. Really lovely on show. It's not huge, but there's plenty of choice there without it being overwhelming. I really enjoyed it when I went 2 years ago, which was the first time I think I've been to the new venue. I don't know. So I'm going to teach finishing techniques Saturday morning, and then I'll be hanging around and having a look around all the stalls afterwards before I head home. But finishing techniques, I taught it a couple of weeks ago at the Knitting Hotel in Dawlish, and the feedback was really great. Everyone thought it was really useful, and they couldn't wait to put into practice what they had learned. Every time I teach a workshop, I get really great feedback that people just learn so much that they hadn't even thought about, and that makes finishing off your garments, sewing up, all the little finishing details, short row shoulder shaping, 3 needle cast off to avoid that horrible stair step shaping that a lot of patterns have at the shoulder, picking up stitches for neat button bands, 1 row buttonholes, which everyone, once they've done it, absolutely love, and of course sewing up using mattress stitch. So loads of useful stuff in that workshop if you knit, garments, you really need this workshop. So if you can get to Stitch Fest on Saturday, I'll put the link below. Go and check it out. There are still a couple of spaces available, so do go and check that out. And then in November, on the 26th of November, I'm teaching mosaic knitting at Spinny Yarn. Mosaic knitting is a way of doing colour work. I'll put a picture of this on the screen of one of my mosaic designs. It's a really interesting way of doing colour work. It's quite often done in garter stitch. It gives it a bit of extra texture as well, and it's a really easy way of doing colour work. Much, much, much easier than stranded colour work. In the workshop, you'll get a choice between starting my mosaic scarf or a pair of mosaic hand warmers. That's a Spinny Yarn on the 26th of November. I think there are still spaces for that, so contact Spinny Yarn to book. And then I got a stock workshop at the Knitting Hotel in November and 2 festive frolics workshops in December. I forgot to check the dates, but they will be on my website, which will be linked below. If you're interested in any of the workshops at Knitting Hotel, contact Knitting Hotel. They're usually fully booked quite a long time in advance, but they may get cancellations, and also they may be able to take a day guest, especially if you're local. But also a lot of people will come then. Some people will come as a day guest just for one day, just to do the workshop. I had that last time for one of the workshops I did. And some people will come as a day guest for the whole weekend and do everything that everybody else do, but they just won't stay on site. They'll stay somewhere else. There is a guest house across the road, which is where I normally stay when I do 2 days there. So I'll link the Knitting Hotel below. Do go and check it out. I also still have 15% off my website. It does end tonight on the 31st of October, although the discount code will still work tomorrow morning, Friday the 1st of November. Normally I set it to finish the day after it officially ends. So it may work till midnight UK time, but sometimes I'm a bit worried about getting the time zone and stuff right. So, which is why I normally end it the day after I say it ends. So if you've missed out on it or you've gotten paid today and you want to spend a bit of money and save some money on the 15% off, then do go check it out. I will close my online shop on Friday at about, let's probably say about 2 o'clock. Yeah, let's say 2 o'clock, so that I can get stuff to the post office, because I'm teaching on Saturday and then I'm off on my travels on Sunday. So I will link that below as well. I'll put the details on the screen, so don't miss that. Make sure you sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss any future offers. Okay, so let's talk about what else I've been knitting. I'm also going to talk about my plans for what I'm planning to knit in Norway, because I've been doing some swatching for that. So last week, on my Truly Hooked Advent Calendar 2023 project, I had got to here. So last week I hadn't done very much. I've been working on this. I started working on this and this around the same time, and I've been prioritizing this because it was rather addictive and I couldn't put it down. So I haven't done very much work on this, but since Friday I have knitted all of that. So until Friday I've done that much, or Thursday I guess I've done that much, and since Friday I've done that much. If you've seen my latest Vlogtober video, you will know that I timed myself yesterday to see how long it would take me to knit 32 rows. So I'm working with 20-gram minis, and I work with 2 colors at a time. So I do 4 rows with one color, 4 rows with the second color, 4, 4, 4, 4. So I've done 32 rows in total. So each repeat, so I count each repeat as 32 rows. So that's 32 rows, and that took me 3 hours and 20 minutes yesterday. I timed myself on my phone. Every time I put my knitting down to pick up my phone to scroll or get a drink or go to the loo or whatever, I pause my timer. So that's my actual knitting time. So I was trying to work out how much I can get done a day, and I think most days I can probably do 32 rows a day. Today I haven't worked on this at all yet today, because I've been knitting some other stuff, which I'll come to in a minute. So, and one of the things I started at lunchtime, I need to just finish tonight. Shouldn't take me very long. So I'm going to finish up and I'll take a break in a minute and then carry on with this. And I'm hoping that because I'm teaching tomorrow. I'm filming this on Monday. Normally I film on a Tuesday, Wednesday. I filmed this earlier this week. And I won't have as much time to knit today because I've spent some of my knitting time already today doing other stuff. And then tomorrow, because I'm teaching all day, I'll only be able to knit in the evening from about 6 o'clock onwards. And I tend to be quite tired after teaching, so my knitting time is not as productive. So plan is to try and get the next 32 rows done by the end of tomorrow, or maybe even start the next 32 rows tomorrow. But I'm going to knit as much as I can tonight, and then before I go to bed tonight, I'm going to block this. So I just measured it, and it measures 30 centimeters unblocked. So it is knitted sideways, so it will fit like this. And unblocked, it goes from my elbow to my neck. So halfway will be when it reaches my sort of center back. And it's quite elastic, so it does stretch out quite a lot. Obviously, I've got to stretch it both directions, so then it will, once I stretch it more that way, it will stretch less that way, and vice versa. So my plan is to knit as much as I can this evening, and then before I go to bed, I'm going to put these stitches on barbacoas and block what I've done so far, just to get a more accurate idea of the size and how many more rows I need to do to get to the middle point. And then I can also write the pattern once I have, because I've done quite a lot now. So once I get a more accurate idea of my tension and stuff, I can write the pattern and get that sent off to my tech editor before I go to Norway, which was my plan. And then if I finish the knitting this week, great. If I don't have time to block it before I go to Norway, that's fine. I can block it when I get back. And if I have a little bit of knitting left to do when I come back, then I can get that done when I come back fairly quickly. But at least if we can get the tech editing started while I'm away, then that will save me a lot of time, and I might still get this pattern out by the end of November, which is my goal, because it's an advent pattern. So let's talk about the next colours coming up. I'm not going to go over this too much because I did talk about it quite a lot in Vlogtober, and I'm a bit worried about duplicating a lot of stuff, but that was the next colour. All these oranges and yellows. Now I like yellows, don't like orange very much, and there are some quite nice colours to come. I don't think I'm going to need the whole 24 mini skeins, so 20 gram in each mini, so that's 480 grams. I've knitted a similar garment to this before, similar size, and I used 300 grams. So I've taken out 100 grams of colours that I'm not that keen on. So I've taken those out. So the next two colours are going to be these two. And then after that, I'm going to go into those two. And then work my way through the greens and into the blues. And I may not get all the blues done either. We'll have to see how many I actually need. But I've taken out, so if I need 300, that means taking out 180 grams. So I'm taking out 100. So I may need to take another 4 at the end, but we'll see how it goes. Once I've blocked it, I'll have a better idea of how much I'm going to use, and then I can make a decision. But I'm glad I decided to take out some of those oranges because I'm not that keen on those. So I thought I might as well take them out. I might, once I finish this, and I'm not going to need them because they kind of form their own kind of gradient, if you like. I might actually list those as a D-stash because they would be enough to knit something with those, especially the 100 gram bundle, because they form quite a nice gradient if you're into oranges and yellows. But I want to make sure I know how much I'm going to use first, because I can't see myself using those for anything. So that's the main project I've been working on at the moment, but I have also been thinking ahead to what I want to knit in Norway. And for a while I've been thinking I want to re-knit this sweater. This is Norwegian yarn Hidauma alpaca silk. It's a lace weight alpaca silk with a tiny bit of merino, and I knitted this one a year ago. I wore it a lot last year, and it has got a bit kind of, especially on the back, I guess because I was wearing it a lot at home and sitting in my chair knitting and stuff, it's got a bit kind of thin. The fabric just feels thinner in places. I don't know whether you remember earlier in the year I ended up re-knitting a section on the sleeve. So I think it was that sleeve. So because there was a section on the back of the sleeve that was completely worn through. So that looks, I don't know how you're supposed to see this, but can you see the difference between that and this? This just feels like it's so much thinner. So I reknitted this in this colour when I was in Norway in March, I think. And this one is slightly smaller, so it's slightly shorter, and the sleeves are a bit smaller. I was actually measuring this morning to work out the exact size I knitted. Let's just compare the two. So the sleeves on these are quite big, which is fine. I really like that actually, but it means that if I want to wear a coat over it, it's a bit difficult because it'll bunch up inside my coat. And the sleeves on this one is quite a bit shallower, narrower, whatever. And the sleeves on the lilac version is more than big enough. They can easily accommodate this amount of garments underneath. The pink one is quite a bit longer. I don't know how many centimeters. Let's just hold them up against each other. It has also kind of like shrunk up a bit at the back, and I don't quite know why. It's almost as if the back has kind of felted a bit. And I'm wondering whether it's because it's quite long, and when I sit on it in my chair downstairs, kind of felting it, I don't know. So this one is quite a bit longer. You see that? So quite a bit longer, but it is shorter at the back, which I don't get. And in terms of width, let's just see if they're about the same width. I've got the pink one feels bigger. I haven't really worn the pink one this autumn just because it looks a bit worn out, but I did wear it a lot last winter. But I just love the color, and I got so many compliments when I first finished knitting it. So in terms of width, they're about the same. They're both, because I've lost weight since I knitted it, both of them, they are both a little bit big on me, and I am wondering about making one that's like a size smaller or half a size smaller. I haven't written up the pattern for this yet, but I will do it at some point. I guess the reason I haven't is because I wasn't 100% happy about how it's wearing. So I worn this quite a lot lately, but not as much as I had the other one, because I've got a few other knitted garments to wear. But I put this on earlier today because it got a bit chilly, and it's just so light. This weighs this weighs about 160 grams, which in my size is amazing. It's so light, it just feels like you're wearing nothing. But because it is alpaca and silk, it is quite warm. And I do fancy knitting it another one in the pink, because I love the pink colour. So I was thinking, I have two options. I thought maybe I will hold two strands together, because that will give me a thicker fabric and it won't wear as easily. So I knitted a swatch last night and this morning, holding two strands of the pink together because I have some left. And I thought, oh, I like that. That's quite a nice fabric. I am worried it's going to be slightly warm, because obviously it will make a much warmer sweater than the original. And making it warmer, will I wear it as much? But I quite like the fabric. And then I came upstairs and I measured my tension. And the tension is actually the same as it was for the original jumper. So the original jumper was knitted with one strand of this yarn. As you can see, it's quite thin yarn. So one strand on 3.5mm needles. So it was knitted to quite a loose tension. This was knitted using two strands on the same needle size, so 3.5mm needles. So the tension is much firmer than the original. But the tension is the same, which surprised me. So then I measured and weighed this swatch and used that to work out how much yarn I would need, and I would need twice as much yarn. In fact, it came up with 16 balls. They're 25-gram balls, which is over twice as much as what I used for that one. Twice as much would be, so that was 100, so if you say 175, because they're 25-gram balls, times 2, 350. That would be 14 balls. That's, I did go on the Norwegian Reima website. Exchange rate is really good at the moment, so it shouldn't be any more expensive to buy it in Norway. It might be slightly cheaper. There is a website in this country that sells it as well, because I did find one the other week, but I can't remember what it's called now. But I thought it would be cheaper to buy it in Norway, especially with the exchange rate at the moment. But when I looked at the prices on this British site I found, I'm not sure it is that much cheaper at the moment in Norway, but it's not more expensive anyway. But if I knit this double, that would cost me about £100 or just over. This cost me about 60, which is much more reasonable. I mean, it's still expensive, but for hand knitted, that's not bad. But I do worry that it's the tension of this that's making it wear quicker. So I don't want to knit it again at that tension. Also looks a little bit, because it is knitted at a loose tension, it just looks a bit uneven because it is knitted at a loose tension. So what I'm also thinking about doing is knitting another swatch and go down 1 or 2 needle sizes. So I've used 3.5mm needles for the original. So I thought I might either go down to 3.25, which is only 1/4 millimeter, so I'm not sure that will make a lot of difference, or go down to 3mm needles and see how much difference that makes to the tension and the fabric. So I think that's my next plan of action, is tonight or tomorrow, is to knit a swatch from that using probably 3mm needles, maybe 3.25, and see what difference that makes and see how much yarn. It would mean getting a bit more yarn, but not twice as much, I don't think, because I feel like holding 2 together is going to make it quite expensive, and also means an awful lot of yarn to bring back, because I am traveling with just hand luggage, as in just a backpack. I'm not even taking a suitcase because I have loads of clothes in Norway. Although I am coming back, I've actually booked an extra bag so I can take my backpack and a tote bag with me, because I know I'm going to buy yarn in Norway and I don't want to have the stress of worrying about it all fitting in my suitcase. So that's the plan at the moment, is to knit a swatch using smaller needles, decide what fabric I like, and I'm hoping using a firmer tension will make the fabric a little bit denser without being too dense, and it will make it a bit harder wearing. And then order this yarn to have it shipped to my parents. I wanted to order it today so it gets there before I do. I will get there next Monday. Last time I ordered it, when I knitted this one, it got there very quickly. I think as long as I order it by Wednesday, it'll probably get there by Monday. And if it doesn't, I will have other stuff to knit instead. So that's the plan at the moment. Watch out for the podcast next week to see what decision I actually end up making in the end. I also cast on for a hat last week. So I finished Simon's socks, which I talked about in the podcast last week. And I wanted a project I can knit on out and about and also take with me as a travel project when I go to Norway, which was the plan for this hat. Although I may now be taking another travel project with me as well, but more about that in a minute. So I cast on for a hat for Simon. I gave him a selection of yarn to choose from. This is Monos Uruguay Allegria, which is on the shelf in that cubbyhole, I think. Lots of beautiful colours. So Allegria, which is 75% merino superwash, 25% polyamide in the orchidea. I don't know how you pronounce it in Spanish. Orchid colorway. I'm assuming it means orchid. Don't know if you can see that, but it's a beautiful colorway. It's turquoise, green, blue with some purple speckles. It's so nice to knit with, and it knits up really nicely. It's going to be a double layer hat for Simon. I am writing up the pattern for the hat because this will be the 4th one I'm knitting. I'm also planning to knit my daughters one each for Christmas. So I had decided I will write up the pattern. I felt because there's so many other patterns similar to this out there that it wasn't, including one very popular one by a British designer, I felt like maybe there wasn't any point doing it, but because I've knitted it so many times now and I haven't bought the other designers' patterns, I've just made it up on my own. If you know, this is going to sound a bit condescending and I don't mean it like that, but knitting a hat is not difficult if you have the confidence and know what you're doing. I don't mean that to sound the way it's coming off, because obviously a lot of people would prefer to follow a pattern, and I quite understand that, but it's not that difficult to do without following a pattern. If you've done it before and you kind of have an idea how it works, if you like. So I'm working on the pattern. I'm about halfway through writing it up. I'm hoping to finish it this week and get it sent off to my tech editor and then release it in end of November, early December probably. So that's the plan. So I'm going to take this with me But then I also, because I said that I was traveling with just a backpack, so basically normally the only clothes I take with me are the clothes I'm wearing when I'm traveling, because I've left loads of clothes in Norway over the last year, and I now have enough clothes there that I don't really need to bring clothes with me. But I'm going up to Wales on Sunday because I'm going with my youngest daughter on this trip. And our flight is at 11 o'clock on Monday, 11 in the morning. So going from Cornwall on the train, there's no way I could get there. The first train from Cornwall in the morning doesn't get into London Paddington until just before 10 o'clock. Then it takes just over an hour to get to Stansted if everything's running on time. So I couldn't get there by train on Monday morning. So I'm getting the train up to Wales on Sunday to stay with my daughters overnight. We're going to get up and leave at 3 in the morning. We haven't quite agreed on the time yet, but I think we need to leave by 3. If I was traveling with my husband, he'd probably say 2, but I think originally I said 2:30, and then I said, well, 3 would probably be enough. So I'm aiming to leave at 3. In addition to what I normally take with me, which are things like my medication, which is quite a big pouch that I have that in because I take a lot of medication. I'm now on HRT gel, so that means I've got to take a whole bottle of gel because one bottle lasts me 2 weeks, and they're quite big. They're too big to go in my liquids bag, so I'm just hoping I won't have any problems with security. If this for medication and is labelled as such, it should be fine, but that takes quite a lot of space. It's probably like, I want to say half the thickness, a bit thinner than this and a little bit shorter, so like up to there, but a bit thinner than this. I don't know how many milliliters it is because it doesn't say, but I reckon like 200, 250 milliliter maybe, but it only has the weight in grams rather than in millimeters, which is weird because liquids or gels or lotions are normally done in millimeters, so I don't understand why it's in grams. It may have to do with the fact that it's medication, I don't know. So I've got to fit that in there for my knitting, my notions, which I just take a small tin, and the needles I need, and my little tiny scales. I'm thinking about leaving my scales there so I don't have to bring them every time because I use them a lot to weigh leftover yarn and stuff. I need to take my little tiny sketchbook in case any of the design magazines I designed for have deadlines for design submissions while I'm away. I'm kind of suspecting one might, and I don't want to miss out on submitting. So I have a A6 sketchbook. I have 2 that are the same, so I might take one and leave it in Norway. I hope my mum's not listening because I think she thinks I've left enough there already. And then I've left some of my larger makeup items like brushes and my powder foundation in Norway, so I just take my eye makeup. And liquids bag, I just take like the standard liquids bag. All other toiletries I've left in Norway. I buy stuff, toothbrush, body lotion, shampoo and conditioner, all of that kind of stuff there. What else? Hand warmers, some kind of thing to wear around my neck, chargers, spare power bank for the journey because my phone goes flat really quickly, so I have 2 ones that they're fairly small, that I normally take with me. Charger for my phone, charger for my watch, my tablet, my Kindle. Thinking about leaving my tablet at home. Anyway, by the time I've added it all up, although it doesn't sound like a lot, it does basically fill up my backpack. Oh, and plus my water bottle. So it does basically fill up my backpack with everything I'm taking with me, even though I feel like I'm just taking the bare minimum. The problem is this time, because I'm going up to Wales the day before, I do need to bring clothes to wear on Sunday and Monday. So I'm going to wear the same pair of trousers. So I just need to take a top to wear on Monday and a fresh set of underwear for Monday. So I could leave what I'm wearing on Sunday. I could leave it in Wales because my daughter is going up for a couple of days while I'm away to stay with my other daughter. So I could just leave it there and he could bring it home, or I could just, if it's just a top, underpants and socks, I can probably fit it in my suitcase. If it's like a thin top like this, I might be able to fit it in my backpack without it taking up too much space. But the problem is I don't have a lot of extra space, is what I'm trying to say. I would normally take a cowl or something. So what I'm thinking about doing is actually knitting a new cowl, cast on Sunday morning when I leave here, and see if I can finish it by the time I get to Norway, or nearly finish it. I have a really thin merino scarf that I bought at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London a couple of years ago, and it folds up into like a really tiny pouch, and I normally stick that in my hand luggage so that if I get cold on the plane or something, I can wear it as a shawl. It's quite big. It's pure merino, I think, but it's doesn't take up much space at all, and it can squash flat, so I can wear that as a scarf in Norway if I need to. So I thought, rather than take a cowl, which will take up more space in my suitcase or in my backpack, I will knit one, which I'll probably finish within a day or two again if I don't finish it on the way there. And then I can wear that while I'm there. And then I'll also have a new pattern ready to go to my tech editor when I come back. And I actually want a cowl for a project for a upcoming workshop. So what I'm thinking about is doing a beaded stranded colourwork pattern. I have an idea, and I've typed up a few charts this morning and worked out a few ideas, and I've nearly decided, I'm not 100% sure yet, but I've nearly decided what I want to do. So I'm probably going to bring that as well to knit on the travel, and also bring the hat, although I may leave the hat alone at home if I really struggle for space, because I will have the sweater to knit on while I'm there. Coming back, I'm less worried because I will have a tote bag as well, so I will have a bit more space coming back. My first advent calendar has arrived. I did talk about this briefly in the last Vlogtober video, but I'll mention it here as well, just in case you don't watch the Vlogtober videos. I have got, originally I signed up to 2 advent calendars, one from the Discreet Unicorn, which is DK, I think it's Merino Sparkle, and then a spinning one, a fibre one from For the Love of Yarn. And then after Yarndale, like in the last month, I signed up for a 12-day sock yarn one from Cool Woolings, because I saw her story Yarndale, really liked her yarns, and then I came home. I didn't buy anything. I was very tempted, but I didn't buy anything. And then I came home and I saw on social media a week or 2 later that she had some advent calendars left. So I went and took a look, and I decided to go for the 12-day one. I got 2.5 advent calendars. So I think that's due to be shipped by the end of this week. At least that's what it said in the listing. So I guess it'll arrive after I leave for Norway. But the Discreet Unicorn one has arrived. Comes in a blue box. I'm not going to show you what's in the box, because there is something. I mean, the yarn's wrapped up, so you can't see it anyway. It's individually wrapped in little bags. But there is something on the top, which, if you are getting this and you haven't opened it yet, and you don't intend to open it till the 1st of December, I don't want to spoil the surprise for you. I had to open it when it arrived, just to make sure I definitely knew what it was. And I'm quite excited by the little extra on the top. It's rather pretty. But I'm not going to show you what that is. So it's going to sit here, and I'm not going to do anything with it till we get to December. Glad I'm away for the first half of November, because it's very, very tempting to open it straight away, and I got to try and resist and leave it till December. I have ideas about what I want to do with it, but I haven't quite decided yet. But I think I know roughly what I want to do with it. If you haven't taken advantage of the 15% off everything on my website, remember it is still valid till the end of October, which means tonight midnight, although it will still be valid. Probably I'm closing the shop at 2 o'clock on Friday, so it'll probably be valid till I close the shop. Definitely work first thing Friday morning, so don't forget to take advantage of that. And then the online shop will close while I'm in Norway and reopen around the middle of November. I've also planned to do a discount on my online courses while I'm away, because my online shop is closed. I thought I will do a discount for my online courses to encourage people to sign up to my online courses instead. So I am going to do, let's do 15% off my online courses for probably till the 21st of November, but I'm not 100% sure yet. I'll put all the details below, but certainly for the first half of November, maybe the first 3 weeks, I'm not sure yet. But 15% off my online courses. I'll put all the details below. Do go and check it out. I will put all the links to everything I've talked about below this video. Don't forget to check it out. There might be a new pattern next week or the week after. This depends on how much time I have this week to get the photos and stuff done. and would have time to actually do any work while I'm in Norway. We'll see. As I said, my daughter is there for the first week, and then she's coming home, and I got a week on my own with my parents. So when I'm on my own with my parents, I'll probably have a chance to get a bit of work done. This is the first time my youngest daughter Emily and I are traveling together since she was about halfway through primary school. So I can't remember exactly how old she was, but I got a feeling she was like 7 or 8, maybe 9. And my grandfather passed away, and we all went to Norway. And then about a month or two later, month and a half later, not very long later, my grandmother passed away. So it's my dad's parents. And Vanessa's passport was due to expire, so I'd sent it off to be renewed so that if my grandmother passed away, I would have her new passport so we could go to Norway. And as soon as I sent it off, my grandmother passed away. So Emily and I decided we would go, and Vanessa stayed home with Simon. That because we'd just been to Norway a few weeks before, we decided we would just go for the minimum amount of time. So we got the train up to London, through London on the tube at the Stansted Airport, flew to Norway, stayed overnight. The funeral was the next day. Then we stayed another night and came home. So it was a travel day, 1 day there, travel day. So 2 nights we had in Norway. It was a bit of a whirlwind, but I think that's the only time Emily and I have travelled together on our own. Been to Norway with Vanessa on my own several times now, and we've been to Spain once, and we've been to London several times, but I haven't done any travelling on my own with Emily, which is bad. So it'll be quite interesting and enjoyable to have a bit of time together, just the two of us. That's it. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. And hopefully next week or the week after, I'll be able to show you a bit of Norway as well. Planning to visit some yarn shops. I'm hoping to go into Oslo for a day on my own to do some yarn shopping. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.